Back in the Big Apple, Tennis Channel is proud to bring you live coverage of the inaugural Oracle Challenger Series event coming up in Chicago, featuring both ATP World Tour and WTA matches. It all begins Saturday, September 8th, noon Eastern, here on Tennis Channel. Well, if you've been watching our network throughout the year, you are probably familiar with what the UTR is by now. It's the Universal Tennis Rating. It's a new algorithm the industry is using to evaluate players based on metrics that emphasize strength of opponent and margin of victory and recent results, among other things. And as we welcome you back to the Tennis Channel set in New York, we want to use the UTR to analyze some of the matches at the U.S. Open today. And we will start on the women's side with Venus Williams and Svetlana Kuznetsova, a couple of former U.S. Open champions. According to the WTA rankings, Lindsay, Venus is top 20, Sveta is outside the top 100. What does the UTR tell us?
Well, the trending UTR going towards Kuznetsova, also the hardcourt UTR, a lot of that is based on the tournament Washington, D.C., where Kuznetsova was able to win. Venus hasn't had the best summer, but I don't know, you take Venus at a major, she got to the semis here last year. The ranking's sometimes a little different. Venus's ranking is going to fall pretty dramatically if she doesn't have a good tournament here. Falls outside the top 30, but we'll see. Venus brings it at the majors.
She's had a tough last couple of majors, losing first round at the French, third round at Wimbledon to Kiki Bertens. Let's move on to a second women's matchup. That's between Karolina Pliskova, who is 8th in the rankings, against Zarina Diaz of Kazakhstan, who's 62 in the rankings. But the trending UTR here gives us a different picture, guys.
That's what's so great about the UTR, the trending stuff, the most recent matches. Look at the numbers for Zarina Diaz. She is ahead of Pliskova, playing the better tennis as of late. And so these are the numbers you want to look at because this takes into more account current stuff. I mean, the trending stuff, to me, as a coach, that's what I look at, and that's why I love using the UTR stuff, because you know what's going on right now.
Pliskova has had a horrible summer, lost second round Montreal, second round Cincinnati, first round in New Haven. There's your trending UTR.
Yeah, this is a player who was #1 12 months ago and a real threat to win this tournament, ended up losing in the quarters. But she very badly wants to have a very good tournament here to get some momentum to end the year on a high note.
Made the final here 2 years ago, losing to Angie Kerber. Let us shift to the men's side, use the UTR to analyze, well, the big popcorn match of the day. Grigor Dimitrov is currently 8th in the world. He got as high as 3 last fall, but after winning 49 matches and 4 titles last year, he has just 22 wins and 0 titles this year. In fact, his only final came in February. As for Stan, his ranking is still outside the top 100 as the comeback from the knee injury has been a little slower than he'd hoped, but he started to trend north lately, made the quarters in Cincinnati, has wins over Kyrgios and Nishikori and Schwartzman this summer. So what do we learn from the UTR about Stan and Grigor?
This one is too close to call, which is what it looks like just when you see the vision as well. I mean, the UTRs here, Stan and Grigor are both trending about the same. Think about the trending thing. The way that I look at it, typically, that's the confidence meter. But the confidence, in my opinion, they're moving in different directions here. Stan is growing in confidence in his body, that his knee's been able to sustain the hard court so far this summer, and also his shots. He's getting more offensive. And for Dimitrov, his biggest problem this year has been his second serve. His technique is off in that shot, and he has lost confidence in that, and he's having to use his wheels. But this is going to be, I think, a very fun match, a very physical match to get us under play on Ash Stadium at noon today.
Yeah, and then to me, when you see, you mentioned it, Jim, that middle number, the trending, is really the confidence number. And Stan Wawrinka getting that mobility, both figuratively and literally on the court. Yeah. Mobility in his mind, believing that he can do it again. And on the court, playing so well at the Canadian Open in Cincinnati. This is going to be a tough one for Grigor because I think Stan, on these courts, it's a little slower with the growing confidence. And you mentioned Grigor's second serve. If it's not a lot of first serves going in for Grigor, it's going to be trouble.
All right, they will take the court in less than 2 hours. First on Ash today, second major in a row. They meet in the first round. Our last UTR match is Jack Sock. And yes, Jack Sock, who is top 20 in the world, has a lower trending UTR than Guido Andriazzi, who I'm guessing most people have never heard of.
Well, Jack just hasn't won many matches this year, except in doubles. It's been a real struggle for him. He's trying a reboot right now. Mark Knowles, who works with us here at Tennis Channel, has been helping him this summer, trying to get him back on track. He has lost weight since Wimbledon, so his movement is a little bit better, which is important for him, so he can get more forehands. And this feels like an absolute must-win match for Jack, going up against an Argentine who plies his trade on clay most of the time.
5 and 15 this year. If I told you after Jack won Paris and made the Tour Finals last year, Paul, that he'd be 5-15 at the U.S. Open the next year, you'd hit me right in the face.
It was so interesting, Jim.
He might do that anyway.
Well, that's entirely possible.
Yeah. Jim, you and I talked about it right at the end of last year. We wondered, would this be the catalyst now for Jack to really go, oh, I believe I belong, or is he going to be a little bit fatigued and then start off rough in 2018? And the latter has occurred.
All right, so we'll see how those matches turn out. We'll look at some more UTR matches tomorrow. It's time to kick off our U.S. Open Tennis Channel Analyst Knockout, Paul.